It's Midwest Ghost Hunters Dark Matter Podcast, and we're at Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri. This is episode, if I look correctly, 148, which really, if you look at the actual numbers, it's closer to like 300. Because we did a whole shitload of these before we came here.
Yeah.
And I remember on that very first one we did, you and I talking, it's like, are we going to have enough shit to talk about to do, a month's worth of these? We didn't know. Apparently we do have enough shit to talk about. So we now have, the website is completely updated from front page to back. We put the investigation, what is the word I'm looking for? Evidence from Sparta, the home we did in Sparta, Missouri. It's all up there. That was a lot of EVPs. That was a bunch, because when we did it on the podcast, we didn't play them all. I put them all up.
No, we probably only played 20%, if that.
Yeah, they're all up now, and you can find those at mwghosthunters.com. If you click on the evidence page, they're right there. I think I put them right at the top. It says Sparta, Missouri home investigation. You can't miss it. There's a lot of stuff on there. I also linked to Kat and Erica's their YouTube page, where they put like the stuff that they encounter in their house. It's all it's on the same page too. You can link right to their YouTube page from there. Anyway, so now we're gonna and I forgot to say also, on going back to those guys for just a minute, and Kat and Erica, our group is not religious. We don't do holy water. We don't do, crosses and robes and all that. But we do have people we know who will do that. However, the people we used to do that, they don't do that anymore.
So you're telling me that our priest went out of business?
Yeah, that's the second one that went out of business. So I emailed this random dude.
Yeah, he's going to like that.
Well, no, he was very nice.
Really?
He was very nice, yes. I was like, I need to ask someone religious this question. Because I don't know the answer. Who do I talk to about getting, because the people in the house, Kat and Erica, they wanted their house blessed. What's involved in that process? I don't even know.
I think only the Catholics are the only ones that are going to do that.
They are. And I messaged a Catholic dude.
Okay.
And he said, well, what you need to do is you need to get a hold of, and he gave me the exact people to get a hold of. And I emailed them. Now they're in the process of picking a cleanser to go to.
Okay.
So they're going to go do that.
Okay.
So that's out of, I told Kat and Erica to follow up with us afterwards and let us know how that went.
Yeah, because I believe the Catholic Church are the only ones that do that.
They are. All the other denominations, unless I'm wrong, think that ghost stuff is all like Satan and demons and stuff.
I don't know.
Right?
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about that.
Everybody's scratching their heads.
I really don't know. I just don't know that I can't, like, if you were to get like a Baptist or somebody else to go out there, I think they just go out there and say, look, demon just got to go. And then they get in the car and leave.
I think you're right. Because they do stuff like that. They just don't do like the holy water.
Right. There's just no, I don't want to say presentation, but there's
no theatrics.
Right. Well, it's just not
you got to have the robe and the holy water.
No, I don't think anybody else other than that does it. I think that you could probably get them to come out and pray at your house or pray for your house or things of that nature. I think they would do that. But as far as having a process, I believe that the Catholics are the only ones. But I don't know.
Well, this guy could tell I'm about as religious as a river rock. but he was super nice. I wish I could remember his name.
Okay.
Should I give him? I could look him up because he was very helpful. I should give what does FR stand for? I don't know. Reverend Daniel Belkin is his name.
Okay. And he's referred you through their process, whatever they do.
He's at the Catholic Center, the Diocese of Springfield, Cape Girardeau, and he told me exactly who to go to.
Okay. Well, I'm sure they've got a whole procedure that they're going to follow to do that.
They're going to go out and do a cleansing, and I told Kat and Erica both, once that happens, to get back in touch with us and let us know how that worked. So anyway, okay, so we're going to move forward now. We have, if you look at our web matrix, it's bizarre, because usually if you look at those month-to-month matrix, usually October, and then the rest of the years like that. However, our May is bigger than our October.
That's really weird, man.
And I don't know why, and it's driving me nuts trying to figure it out. But we have a lot of inquiries to do, investigations. Among those are Kristin and Lily, who would like for us to. Well, I'm gonna back up a little bit. You heard about us through Lacey.
Yes.
Lacey is the. Is it still called Nora Emerson? Hell, I've lost.
Yeah, she's a photographer, I think, out in Buffalo.
She's in Buffalo.
She also has a bridal store, or she had a bridal store. But yeah, I've known her for a while.
Okay. Well, we did her bridal store twice up in Buffalo. And at that time, it was called Nora Emerson Bridal. And it was in a big old building. And we went there once, and a whole bunch of shit happened. And then we went again. So you heard about us through Lacey. And you have had stuff happening in your home. We're going to come out to your place and see what's going on there. But we kind of wanted to bring you in so us and our listeners could kind of get an idea of kind of what's happening in your house. First of all, is it here in Springfield?
Yeah, it's in Springfield. It's over in the Oak Grove area.
Okay. So what kind of stuff have you been, are you getting nervous?
I am nervous,
There's
but
no
I really
need to be nervous.
Well, I just don't know where to start because I like literally made a list. I'm a list maker.
Hey, there's
ADHD
nothing wrong with
queen.
that.
I made a list.
You can just
so
take
it's like,
a breath and relax.
Look over your list. Just tell us a little bit about, what's going on at your house and what activity you've had.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, there's like 2-3 million people listening worldwide. It's
oh my
no big
gosh,
fucking deal.
That's not scary. Well, we bought the house, I want to say about 7 years ago, and things started happening pretty immediately. The first things weren't that worrisome or scary, but the first indication that something might be amiss was just I was sitting in my bedroom with my daughter, who was at the time 4. And we see someone, a man, it looked like a man, was very brief, walk through the front hallway. And I go and I'm like, what is that? Because no one else is here. And I go to that front hallway and the hanging planter I have is just spinning. There's no wind in there. But at the time I was like, well, maybe I'm tripping. It's a new house. It could just be a breeze, something happening in there. I moved along, didn't really think much of it. But then after that, weirder stuff started happening. Like I said, my daughter was 3 or 4. And the next thing would have been I could hear her talking to someone that wasn't there one day. And I went into the living room. There's a 3-seater couch and she's literally sitting there turning her head, having a whole conversation with someone that isn't there. And she was saying kind of troublesome things no, I don't want to go. I don't want to play with you right now. And then after that, I asked her, who was that? Who were you talking to? What's up with that? And she said that he was a dark boy. That's how she always described him at that age. And she would describe him as a shadowy figure. I'm trying to remember how else she would say it, but she would say that he would be in the playroom down that hallway. That hallway I was talking about, the first thing that happened. At the beginning of this paranormal experience in my house, it was always that front hallway, and it was always a guy. And
this a full-grown adult, or is this a
Yes.
little boy that she's seeing?
Well, now I would say it was always a grown adult.
Okay.
Now that she's older, and she remembers these things vividly. At that age, I wasn't going to ask her if it was a ghost. I was just asking her descriptive terms.
I'm just trying to get an idea
Yeah.
of what it was she saw at the time.
Well, she said it was a dark, shadowy figure, a grown man, but she would always say dark boy, which I guess makes sense because she was really young.
Okay.
But she would, I screenshotted some stuff I would post on Facebook when this first started happening because she would always have something to say. She'd be sitting in that playroom and she'd be talking to somebody, saying troublesome things. But anyway, so after that, we saged the house because I didn't really know what else to do. It was happening all the time. It was getting freaky for me. I hadn't seen anything necessarily myself, but I knew that there was a weird smell. Nola was talking to somebody. That was weird because, most anybody's seen a ghost show or two. You're talking to somebody that's not there. It's a kid. They're supposed to be super susceptible to talking to the paranormal.
And what is the weird smell like?
Okay, so I've tried to, I want to say it was sour smelling, and it would be predominantly in that front hallway. Always. At this time, it was always that front hallway. And not to say that we don't have stuff over there now, because we do. Okay. But the stuff that we're having that's paranormal has really amped up the past few months.
Okay.
So we had a weird smell. I saged the house. And then one day I came home and all the kitchen cabinets and all the kitchen drawers were open. And that has happened more than once now. I think it's happened, 3 times now, but that is the last thing that happened in that time frame, where the kitchen cabinets and drawers being open. She couldn't even reach the kitchen cabinets at the time. So after we saged the house, probably 2-3 years of nothing.
Okay, so you saged the house and then 2 or 3 years of nothing?
Literally nothing.
Okay.
Literally nothing at that point. After that, we started, my boyfriend moved in, his daughter moved in with us. And I think that might have triggered something, because that's when things really started to pick up. I mean, we really did a lot. We painted the house, we built decks, we moved walls, we did everything,
So a lot of remodeling.
Yes, a lot of remodeling in the house. But the first thing that sort of happened would be when Lily started getting touched in the shower.
I had just first moved in, and we have 2 bathrooms, and it was the newer remodeled bathroom. And I was just standing there taking a normal shower, and all of a sudden I just felt I don't know, something was watching me, or just I felt unsettled, and then pain on my back, and I just jumped out of the shower super fast. For some reason I just it didn't feel right, and I was wrapped up in a towel, and I ran into her bedroom, and I was something touched me, I swear, I don't even know what happened. And I turn around and she looks at my back, and I had 3 marks going down my back, all the way down my butt, and I was like,
Yeah.
Like scratches?
Yeah. They
They were
like
red and everything.
Red whelps almost, but there were only 3 of them. It wasn't like a hand. I mean, it did look like a hand, but not like a human hand. But with that being said, like prior to this scratch, we had felt like we were being touched in the shower before that. But the scratches is when you think you're crazy. You think like, oh, this isn't like really happening. No one's touching me in the shower. Maybe like a hair fell down, something. But this is when we knew something was happening.
There's something actually like watching us.
But even then, your dad didn't really believe at that point. Like he fully believes something's in our house now. Her dad is a big old skeptic not skeptic. He believes in the paranormal. He believes in ghosts.
What shifted him
what changed his mind?
from not believing to believing?
Several things, from starting to see the things in the house, the shadowy figures, to, hearing the voices in the house, to things moving, to things disappearing. Like there's a lot of things that in the end really did change him. But like after the stuff with the shower happening and getting scratched, she would start hearing voices in the house when we weren't there that sounded like us. She would call me and say, I'm not leaving this bathroom until you guys get home because I can hear someone talking to me in the house. And you're not the only one this has happened to, but it has happened more often to her.
And you're talking about, it sounds like you guys.
It sounds like her or my dad or my little sister. I hear her and my little sister more often than my dad. I've only heard my dad like once.
He doesn't seem to want to
I promise. I was just I'm so sorry for laughing, but it just hit me. I was just trying to think in my head. It's like, we've experienced this doppelganger thing.
Yeah.
And I remembered what it was.
Yeah.
It sounded like you hurt your...
John was screaming in pain. And
Yeah. No, we have. We've had this happen before to where, and we actually played one of them on the podcast, where it sounds just like me. Not close, not similar.
It sounded like
I thought it was me.
It was so weird.
But the problem is I can't talk over myself, and that's what happened with this thing. And so we've had that before.
Do you have any suspicions or ideas of who or what is it used? A Ouija board? Have you had anybody?
Was there
commit
anything
suicide in the house? Or
not no deaths that I'm aware of, but like at this time.
Did you use a Ouija board? Because you're looking guilty.
No.
What? Did you do something?
No, I was thinking about that time we did the thing with the quarters.
Oh, yes. So we lovingly, at this, past couple of months, have started to call our house ghost Jose. I don't know why. And she played this game with quarters where, you drop 2 quarters and you're asking ghost questions, and 2 heads is like yes, 2 tails is like no, and then 1 heads, 1 tails is maybe. And then, we don't, obviously that's just a game, but we got some really interesting answers from that.
I've never heard of that.
Did it flip? Did it flip the quarters or anything?
Well,
No.
I think the idea is that how they land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a question, and I know we live together, and I probably should know. But whenever you're hearing the talking, whether it's me, whether it's Nola, what are we saying to you?
The first time I heard it was Nola. It sounded like it was coming from her room. And I'm online schooling, so they'll be gone, and Nola is in public school, so she'll be at school and I'll just be the only one home. And I came inside and I was just in the bathroom. It usually is always when I'm in the bathroom, but I was in there and I just heard Lily, like scream, like yelling my name. And I was like, I literally opened, I cracked the bathroom door and I yelled, "What?" And I got no response. And I was just like, okay. And then I opened it again and I said, "Hello?" And then there was no answer. So then I called her. I was like, did Nola stay home from school? And she was like, no.
And I was gone.
Yeah. And I was like, is anybody here? And she was like, no. And I was like, I'm not leaving the bathroom.
Yeah.
How old is this house?
So it was built in the 50s. I have asked. So we have a horizontal neighbor who bought his house in 71. He's
Okay.
90 years old. And I've asked him if there were deaths in the home, and he can't remember any. And I've done my due diligence and tried my best to find out what was on the land before, all these, but the city doesn't really do any kind of help.
Right.
So the only deaths that I'm aware of on the property are dogs. That's it.
Okay.
Or cats.
Okay.
But
and this occurred the moment that you guys moved in, basically.
The start with Nola talking to somebody, that started happening within the first week to 2 weeks of us moving in the house.
And have you had any paranormal activity prior to moving into this house?
I have always found a way to say I was dreaming, or that didn't happen like that. So
But you have had
I
things.
want to say yes, but at the same time, I've always want to say maybe I was just,
But okay, so
joking.
nothing ultra pronounced until you got into this house.
Nothing that I can say, dang, that's a haunting.
Okay.
That's for sure a haunting until I moved into this house. But I mean, we've still got a lot to cover for the last 6 months. As soon as we started really renovating the house, that is when things really started.
You started renovating the house.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Okay. So the kitchen and cabinets and drawers, again, started happening. But during this time, Zach and I, this is my boyfriend, my significant other, at separate times in the middle of the night, him and I will wake up and we will see what looks like a shadowy figure of a woman. When you're laying in our bed, you can see down pretty much through a good portion of this side of the house, and she's not moving at this point.
She's just standing there?
Just standing there.
Okay.
And I'm not getting my ass out of the bed. Absolutely not. And about this
Right.
time when we start seeing this is when Zach and I can no longer sleep past 3 a.m. And that is still happening. Happened last night. It will alternate sometimes between him and I. Sometimes it's him, sometimes it's me, but guarantee you one of us is not sleeping past 3 a.m. And it's not just because we want to. It's just what seems to be happening. I don't know if that's ghost related, but I feel like it's got to be at this point.
Is it because something happens at 3 a.m, or that's just when you happen to wake up?
That's when we just happen to wake up. There's other, a million things. Like we've woken up and there was a candle lit that shouldn't be. I work at home. I light candles when I have clients coming over. That's it. At this rate, I hadn't worked in like 30 days. And in the middle of the night, there's a freaking candle lit. That was weird. We started hearing, starting to see the woman figures, that was sort of a new part of the house that I hadn't seen anything happen in. At this rate, we were like, it's the bathroom. It's the front hallway. We knew there was a guy hanging out. We lovingly called him Jose, whatever. He hadn't hurt anybody except for that one time. It only happened the once. So when we started seeing this woman figure is when shit started to go down in the house. That's when we started hearing the voices and the clapping. Okay. So this is all in the past like 2 months, and it's all happened to me, which is freaky, I feel. But so the first thing that sort of happened with this woman where I knew like we had some kind of other entity was when I would be sitting in my office getting ready. I have a big room with, makeup room or whatever. And I was sitting there alone in the house and I could hear clapping from around where Nola's bedroom is. I could hear it. It wasn't like, it was very staggered. Like it wasn't like, it couldn't have been the laundry. The laundry wasn't running. It couldn't have been the dishwasher. The dishwasher wasn't running. We don't have anything that makes a lot of noise in the house. So I'm yelling, going, hey, Lily, are you here? Is anybody home? I know no one's in the house, but I'm doing my due diligence. I go over there and I try to check it out. I go to Nola's room, looking around. And then all of a sudden I hear clapping coming from the other side of the house. The clapping literally moved. Okay. And then 2 days later, I'm sitting in the same room getting ready. I have a little mirror, and I made a TikTok about this, but I have a little mirror. I'm getting ready. I just pan it over, and there's a woman standing behind me, clear as day, looking at me. Deadpan, 40 to 50s. If I hadn't freaked the fuck out and thrown my mirror, I wish I would have like panned it down to see what she was wearing or like gotten more information.
Does she show up on the TikTok?
No, okay. I didn't have the TikTok running. I'm a new TikToker, so I'm like a chicken baby. So, I literally.
Well, you're ahead of us.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I turned, and it gets weirder from here, but I turned my mirror and she's sitting there looking at me. She's got her hair up. She's an older type lady. I want to say older, but 40s to 50s, older than me. Maybe I sound like an asshole. I don't know. But she's she's looking at me.
So John's age.
I throw the mirror, and at this, But anyway, so at this point, I've thrown the mirror, and then I'm looking around me because nothing is happening. There's no clapping. No one's talking to me. Not shit's going on. I just see her. And then I, pick up the mirror again because at this point, I'm getting kind of used to what's happening in the house. And I pick back up the mirror. She's no longer behind me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Moving on. So then I call my boyfriend, and I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know what happened. I just saw a woman standing behind me, and he said, you don't remember waking up last night like 4 or 5 times saying you saw a woman standing in your office? And I said, the fuck I don't. Why wouldn't you tell me this? Like, I don't remember that,
So you had woken up the night before?
The night prior.
You were talking in your, is that what he's saying? You were asleep and saying that you had seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
A woman.
So you said in your sleep before it happened that you had saw a woman?
Yes.
Okay.
And up to that point, you hadn't seen a woman?
No.
Okay. Oh,
I
okay.
guess we'd seen the shadowy figure next to Nola's room that we perceived as a woman. And I did perceive her as a woman at that time, but I hadn't. But this woman I saw in my mirror, clear as day. It looked like there was an actual fucking human standing behind me.
And you would say that she's like 40 or 50 years old, but Is she from like that time period as well, or could you tell?
I
I'm
couldn't say.
picturing the Victorian dress. Is that what you're
Right.
doing?
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to.
That's the first thing I thought about. That's the first thing I thought about, and that's why I was like regretful that I had tossed my mirror, because this mirror is so small. I think if I hadn't freaked out and thrown the mirror, I could have panned my
It is
shit down.
understandable if I saw someone standing
it could
behind
be,
me
but
in my office.
it could also be somebody. It could also be somebody if the house is built in like 1950. It could be somebody from that time period. Where I was trying to get an idea.
Yeah.
I really couldn't say, and I wish I hadn't freaked out. But since then, being more vocal about it and like just kind of watching the house, we have noticed more things happening. Like after I started posting it on TikTok, this was after I talked to you, I had a client come over who was like very well aware at this point something was happening in the house. And like 5 minutes before she shows up, I'm sitting in the living room, dogs aren't there. I have 2 Great Danes. They were at doggy daycare. Kids were gone. Everyone's gone from the house. I'm sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden the rug just scrunches like 3 feet from me. And I just kind of took that as like, it's like a very, I don't know, lightweight rug. We don't usually have them down unless I have clients coming over. And all of a sudden, this very long rug just goes scrunch. And I'm standing there, not 3 feet from it. And I'm like, cool. And that, I think, was just them going, hey, you're not wrong. Something's happening. But I mean, our house is literally a construction zone. So maybe it is just from, building walls and...
Well, you've probably seen enough ghost shows to know that that renovations and remodeling tends to, or they say, causes that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to Lacey, up in Buffalo, too, when she started remodeling the Nora Emerson.
And I think that was part of the reason I didn't take this so seriously for a long time, is because I just didn't feel like it was concrete enough to say, yeah, this is an actual haunting, because I know things like, if they're renovating the house, there's going to have something going on. Or like with Nola, when she started talking to someone that wasn't there, I was like, oh, well, we know that could be Nola just being super susceptible because she's 3 or 4 years old. And I was just talking myself out of it. But now I feel like there's so much stuff specifically happening in the last 4 or 5 months that there's no way to talk myself out of it. There's something happening in my house.
Does it happen all like day, night? It doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter, it seems.
I'm figuring you probably weren't showering at 3 a.m. So
sometimes it happens like that, but no, it was daytime when that happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like daytime stuff happens in the front hallway, in the bathroom. Nighttime stuff is like free game. You've got over by Nola's room where we first saw the shadowy figure that I perceived as a woman, and then the lady I'm seeing. I don't know what to make of that, because we always just thought cutesy little Jose ghost, whatever. But
have you ever heard a woman speak?
I don't think I have.
The clapping is weird.
The clapping was so weird, and I honestly, truly...
Is that an ongoing, or is that a one time?
That only happened once.
And it sounds more like you said it's staggered, like a child.
Like a metronome type
Like
thing.
Well, it's not.
No, it was like, I want to say it was like...
Yeah, so like, okay.
It was just pretty
So like
sporadic.
little kids playing patty cake type thing.
I guess so, more like that. But I mean, I don't know what else to do besides put the cameras back up around the house, because maybe that's what it was, because we had such a quiet several years, and that's when we had the whole house inside and outside wired with cameras.
Why did you take them down?
Have you caught anything on those?
Well, we don't have them up anymore. We started renovating. We took all the cameras down except for like
you
one.
took them down because you're renovating.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
And the whole house is pretty much, like I said, we're doing the whole damn thing. I think the only cameras we have up now are ones outside and one in the kitchen. And we haven't ever caught anything on the kitchen cameras besides like you freaking out after the fact.
Yeah.
Well, are these cameras motion activated?
Yes, and
Okay.
they're the Ring cameras that will tell you if there's a person. And I have gotten notifications that there's like a person walking through my kitchen. But also I have 2 Great Danes. So, I mean, sometimes they could be...
Part of the problem, too, with trying to use that type of a camera to capture paranormal activity is you've got to have something that's going to trigger the camera to come on. If you had a camera that was on all the time, no, you're going to have a tremendous amount of storage space to do that. But if you had that type of a camera, you would probably have a better chance of catching something happening.
Yeah, and I have been willing to do ghosty type investigative stuff in my house for a long time, but I am not educated on it to know what to buy. I don't know anyone to ask
I wouldn't do it. If it were my house and I had an inkling that it might be, I would not do investigating stuff
No,
that I
would
house
not.
I have to
I would
live
not.
in.
I would not recommend doing that. And the
Okay.
other, I wouldn't recommend that you do any investigating like that. And also, I don't recommend you try to interact with the thing at all.
And we're not saying that from the angle of, well, we're the experts. You don't at all. You have to live there. When we come to an investigation, we do our thing and then we move along our merry way. But you have to stay and kind of live
Right.
in whatever environment you create.
If we do something that pisses the thing off, you want it to be pissed at me, and specifically at Dustin or Tyler. I mean, we would much rather have that than to have one of you guys come in and do something and you anger this thing, and then you're living in the house. Mm-hmm. It's much different if you get in the car at the end of the night and say, well, we didn't find anything, and go home. That's a much different situation. But there's a guy whose name is Edwin Becker, and I always talk about him on every one of these podcasts. And he's a guy that real super famous, not really a paranormal investigator, but one of the early guys in the paranormal field. And he had always recommended you don't try to interact with anything that's there because you don't know what you're talking to. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it says it's a little boy or a little girl, it doesn't necessarily, we don't know that. You have no idea of knowing what you're talking to or what you're dealing with. So his recommendation, and he's one of the big experts in this field, is to not try to interact with it. You also don't do things that would prevent it from doing what it wants to do. Say that it has a closet door of yours that it always opens, or kitchen cabinets that it always opens. You don't put a lock on it to prevent it from opening that. You don't prevent it from doing that, but you don't interact with it. You don't do that sort of stuff because that feeds the energy of it and makes it stronger. At least that's the theories that have been thrown out. Again, we're not experts.
Well, no. A big part of it is what I've heard people say before, and we've run into this on nearly every investigation we've done, even the most active investigations that we've ever done, where people have been living, with paranormal activity for a long time. Nobody's prepared for what they're going to hear. Mm-hmm. Nobody. Everybody is surprised when they hear, if we catch stuff, they're always shocked. A lot of people, when they go into this venture of, I'm just going to start recording in my own house, you better be ready for what you might get.
They're going to be like, I should have scratched her harder. That's what they're going to say. And my lady is going to be like, I just wanted to watch her get ready. She has this theory that, because I'm seeing this lady next to my makeup stuff all the time, that she's just watching me wanting to, get ready like she used to. I mean, I don't necessarily want to do paranormal investigating myself, but I do want to know what's happening.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it just seems I want to go to sleep past 3 a.m. Ideally, I don't know if that is a ghost thing. I don't think there is any logical reason that Zach or I should wake up at 3 a.m. on the dot every night if it's not something weird.
Well, if your boyfriend heard you talking once, I'd be willing to bet that probably has happened more than once.
Now, that's something you might think about. I was going to actually mention that, is they do have these apps. They're sleep apps. We played audio from one of those a couple of weeks ago. But these sleep apps can actually record your if you're talking in your sleep, it'll capture that recording. That way you can at least hear it. Maybe you can hear what's happening. And I may be tiptoeing into the very thing I just said not to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the sleep apps can at least give you, if you're talking in your sleep about shit that hasn't happened yet, I think I'd probably want to hear it.
You have to be really careful with that because we had some guides here at Pythian Castle that were spending the night when Tamara, who owns the place, was gone. They were upstairs in these very old bedrooms, and I said, what would be a fantastic idea is to record while you guys are sleeping. The problem you get is you've got to be very careful and you've got to be willing to listen to that back. And do you really want to hear those things? We did because we weren't the people sleeping in the room. But if you're going to be sleeping there on a regular basis, I don't recommend doing that. The other question that I had is, have you ever done anything, has anyone ever checked this house for EMF to see if you have electrical issues in this home? Because there's a couple of theories on it.
I would assume if remodeling's underway, there's an electrician involved at some level.
Well, yeah, we've had electricians come over, but is that different? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know anything.
The issue is that there's a couple of theories behind the whole EMF thing.
Actually, we have had a lot of electrical issues in the house.
Well, that's not necessarily an EMF thing.
Okay.
It could be, but it's not necessarily. The thing with EMF, there's a couple of theories, and Chris can talk about this a lot more than I can. But the theory number one is that it plays around with your mind, because if you've got a lot of EMF going in the house, and it will literally make you hallucinate and see things. We had a situation where we did an investigation for a mom who said every night when she was rocking her baby in this chair, she would see a little girl appear in the doorway. And we went in, thought that was kind of creepy, but we found that she had a fan that had a serious EMF leakage on it, and it was blowing this directly onto her, and that was causing hallucinations. Now, it's not that she was faking it. She was really seeing this, but this was causing it. So we removed the fan from the situation. The little girl disappears. So there's that theory behind EMF. And then there's also the theory that this sort of EMF leakage creates a greater energy field for this paranormal stuff to get stronger and stronger. So I don't know which one it is, but there's something that we will want to check the EMF, and we'll check that.
I will say, because there's two things that just popped in my head. So our house is a little weird, just because we have like our house, which is like 1,800 square feet, but we also have a guest house that's around 1,500, and it's 2 stories. It's not as big as it sounds, but that's where she lives. So she's pretty much got this whole area.
Are they hooked together? No, they're separate.
They're
Okay,
separate.
Gotcha.
But I don't know that you've had any kind of experiences out there. But I do want to mention that for when you guys investigate. Additionally, I forgot until just now that as far as this guy goes, the guy ghost, Nola always mentions in her room she sees him by her closet. Only important to say, because I talked to my next door neighbor and she said that her grandsons see the same thing. There's always a man outside their closet trying to open the closet door.
And this is the neighbor.
Our next door neighbor, her name's Michelle. She's wonderful. But she was a friend of mine on Facebook and reached out to me because she's like, hey, well, my grandsons have had the same thing when they're over here. I also have another neighbor who listens to the podcast. She wrote me, and she said that her dogs won't even cross in front of my house. And I don't know why, but she said that might be a thing. My dogs don't seem to be bothered by anything inside the house.
Our dogs are fine.
They're fine, but they're also big, scary, and kind of silly. So they're big old. They're Great Danes. They just like want to like sleep.
So has anybody seen the male ghost? Is it Jose? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah.
Or whatever. Has anybody seen him, whatever, besides the youngest?
Me.
Oh, you did.
That was the first
And
thing
Dad.
and Dad. That was the first thing that
hell,
we saw
that's right.
in the
Okay,
house. That was
that's
the very
right.
first indicator. My mom too. I have no contact with my mom now, so she's not a good person to call. But we all saw him. It was the first thing that happened in the house.
You guys have seen him in the form of a shadow figure, correct?
The first time it looked like just a person, like a normal person walking through the hallway, but it was so fast.
Yeah.
It was so fast that when I got to that hallway, and I didn't even think twice
Gotcha.
about it. When I got to that hallway, all I could see was that hanging planter spinning.
We're on a bit of a quest to eventually, one of these days, capture a full-bodied, not just a shadow figure, but a full-bodied apparition.
We've never been able to do it.
Listen, I have no idea if you guys are going to find anything in my
I don't
house.
want to put all that pressure on you.
Well, I'm a pressure-filled, anxiety-ridden lady anyway, so it already kind of freaks me out. But if you can find it, I think it's got to be in my house. We have.
Okay.
I don't know what was there before. I don't know if anyone's died there. I have no idea. But what I can say is that woman I saw behind me was a literal person. I could see her. I could describe her. I could probably draw her. She was a human, but it was the vibe that she gave me that made me just immediately stop. She was just deadpan like that, staring at me. Didn't move a muscle. And I wish I hadn't thrown my mirror, but I did. I threw that shit across the room. So,
Well, one of the things that we could also do, if we could find a history on the house, and if there is such a thing as some photos of people that have lived there, maybe you could identify and see, if you think that is somebody.
They do have that stuff at the. I mean, that
Melissa's
stuff's
real
around.
good at that.
Yeah.
Melissa, one of our people, is real good at history and pulling that up. And maybe if she could find a photo of it, you could say, yeah, that is, or no, that's not.
yeah. I will say, like with the guy ghost, the first time I saw him, I only saw him from the side very, very quickly. So I couldn't, with there's no face for me. But this woman, hell yeah, there's a face. And I know, and she wasn't scary. She just was the vibe.
The fuck she wasn't.
She was scary because she wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But it's just the vibe she gave me.
Would you have been scared, Dustin?
I would have been jumping out the window.
Yeah. And that's why I think like maybe I'm a little messed up because I literally threw the mirror, picked it back up, and sat back down like it was not a big deal.
And you look back in that same spot and there's nothing there.
Nothing
I was
there.
just trying to think as you're like, I mean, like matrixing the coat hanging in the corner. I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
There's nothing. And I have a shitload of stuff in that office, but I know where everything is, and it wouldn't have surprised me for a second.
And this was after the clapping. I don't know why I'm
This
stuck
was
on the
after.
clap. I've never heard of the clapping. That's bizarre. It's almost like
It's because you love the snapping.
Yeah,
I
you're-
hate the
You're
fucking
so hung on the
snapping.
snapping.
No, I hate the snapping, but the clapping's almost like an attention. I'm trying to get your attention.
What do you think snapping is?
Who the fuck
same thing.
knows?
It literally moved. I went to investigate myself to see what the hell it was because I knew there was nobody else in the house.
To me, the clapping would be like maybe little kids playing.
Well, to
and they're
me,
running
it's
around.
like if you think of one of these episodes of like Paranormal Witness, you know, where the clapping moving, they're trying to lead you somewhere. And I'm not saying
it's
that's-
almost like a game.
Yeah.
And it did lead me to
Yeah.
it did lead me to Nola's room where we have around there where the first time I saw the woman was. The first
Right.
time in the middle of the night. That is literally where I walked to
Okay.
when the clapping started. Then when it moved to the office where I had just been, where the woman was. So maybe she was leading me somewhere.
Okay.
The snapping's just a bunch of dumb shit. But the clapping seems to me like it's trying to not only get your attention, but if it's moving, it's trying to get you to a specific spot.
Gotcha.
Girl, I was already in the office. You already scared me in the office. So like, you know.
Well, that was a pretty good attention getter too. Was the clapping before the you saw or after? I can't
that
remember.
was before.
The clapping was
Like
before.
a week before?
Yeah, it was like a week before.
Yeah, but like I said, it really has amped up. Like we started building the deck, we painted the house, and now it's like it's constant. It's almost
Gotcha.
every day.
Okay.
So we can
You
go
had
over.
something this morning too, didn't you?
It wasn't this morning. It was like 2 days ago, or like a day ago.
No, you literally called me this morning about something. You got in the car and said something. I don't remember what, but I mean I'm tripping out. But
So you've got almost your own kind of apartment, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And you haven't had anything in that part of the complex at all, only in the main house.
thank God.
Only in the main house.
She'd be losing her shit if she did. So thank God.
It's only in the main house, and especially when they're not home.
Okay. Okay.
Did you take a picture of the scratches?
Yes, I can't find the picture.
Oh,
We've
okay.
Yeah,
looked,
we went looking everywhere for it.
we couldn't find it.
That's the same thing that happened to someone else who had scratches. Their pictures
Yeah, but her scratches, I'm going to bet that her scratches are more impressions and not as deep I hope that they're not as deep a wound as the one that Kat had.
That's not even the
Yeah.
one I was talking about.
But
But
I
yeah.
couldn't say I didn't see that, but hers were more just like very red whelps. They were
Yeah.
very obvious.
Like I
Right.
wasn't bleeding or anything, and it
Yeah.
didn't leave a mark. Like it was gone like the next day.
Okay,
but
that's more of a normal.
Yeah.
If
That's
there is
more
such-
of a normal scratching.
Well, but I mean, not like what Kat had. I mean, the one that Kat had
Yeah,
was
hers
just
would be-
unbelievable.
I don't know.
So
I
more,
think
more of like a skin irritation type thing.
Like an impression,
than
like you,
Kat just scared
if
the
you
shit
were
out of me.
if you were to come back in right now and scratch somebody's arm, that's the sort of thing you would get.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, the feeling like you're being touched in the shower would be the beginning of my Bed Bath era, I think.
Well, I would finish the remodeling at that point in time because there'd be a hole in the wall.
We will literally never stop remodeling this house. So if that's what's pissing him off, probably never ever get done. I mean, I work at home. I shoot boudoir. I shoot erotica. That's what I do for a full-time living. So we are always.
Does that mean you're a photographer? I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I shoot intimate imagery for the ladies and the men and the couples. That's what I do.
Well,
So
that's
I'm-
what Lacey does too.
Oh yeah. So she started way after I did, but I've always been like,
Remember?
yeah. So I've never done anything besides like headshots and family pictures for her. But we're constantly building sets. We're constantly remodeling. There will never be a time that I can think of that we will be done.
Have you ever found anything when you're remodeling stuff like that? You bust out the wall and you find a note. You find
did.
You find
A
something.
ring or anything.
But it was in the backyard.
What did we find?
Do you remember the secret room?
Oh fuck! The secret room. I forgot about the secret freaking room.
I don't think I would ever forget a secret.
Okay.
This
All
is a story here, and if you would talk
So hard to describe.
talk right into this here and tell us a story.
Lily's guest house is a remodeled shed that's 2 stories. It has a bump out that almost looks like carport. You walk underneath this carport and you can see up into like a closed off second story. Like it's just, you can see up there, there's a roof, but inside of that room, there's a door.
We're talking about the guest house.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, there's been no paranormal activity that we know of that's happened there. But anyway, so there's just like a little bit of flooring, there's a door. Since we have remodeled the guest house, studio, whatever we call it, we know there's nothing on the other side. It's a door that goes nowhere. But on that, we finally get up there. I didn't ever check it out until they moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it was like 3 years ago. It was well after they moved in. So you go up there, we find old newspapers, a knife, Sharpies. I mean, we find random crap that doesn't like really amount to
I have a toy
anything.
car that Nola found.
A toy car, but nothing that really amounts to anything, but the door won't open. The door will not open.
So there's a room that you've never been in.
So you haven't been in there yet?
I don't think it goes anywhere.
I did. My dad put, okay, so
Hell yeah, Lily. Tell me some shit I don't know.
the door leads to nothing, but it's kind of shaped like this is the wall with the door, and then like this is the roof. So it's like kind of triangular.
So it's like an attic.
Yes, it's like an attic. And my dad put the floor of it, because you can stand up from outside where it's sticking out of the house. You can stand up and look up and see it. So there is no floor anymore. So he put a ladder there and we climbed up. That's when we found like all those things. Like we have a really, really old toy car, and Nola found like army soldiers and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also drawings and paintings all over the wall in there.
Yeah, the door literally says "Door of Love" on it. Don't know why. Painted. Freaks me out. But
Does it look like a kid painted it?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe this was a
like
little kid's room?
teenager.
Yeah,
Like a
maybe
teenager.
somebody a little older.
Or like a very creative individual.
Are you-
Maybe during the 1960s.
Well, are you able to picture? I'm not picturing the
Why don't
room
we
in my head.
Because it's very, very hard to describe what we're trying. I've always, when people ask, I try really hard
Can you
to describe
stand
it.
up in the room? You can stand
No.
up.
Not necessarily.
Like it's like that's what makes me think it was like a kid's thing.
Okay. All right. Door, room, roof.
So this is almost
slanted.
Yeah, this is almost like a mini closet. I've seen
Yeah.
this sort of thing at
Yes.
some of the houses in downtown Springfield, where kind of almost a little storage closet that would have
Yeah.
been used for kids' toys or anything like that. Not really a full-on room.
Right. It's very small, but like the door that enters her area, you cannot open that. I can.
Okay.
Or
You
we
said there
have
were
never-
drawings. What are they?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there was on the actual door, it said like door of love with like a rainbow. And then next to it, there was Florida just written randomly.
Yeah.
And then there was some other just like little drawings, but I can't quite remember what they were.
I mean, I've got y'all's numbers now. I can go home and take a little picture so
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
we would really
It's
like to see that.
incredibly difficult to describe.
No, we'd like to see that. If
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind, send that to Chris.
I can. I don't know why we don't have pictures of these things, but we get asked constantly what.
The other weird thing about the room is like the roof of the room is covered in nails.
Yeah, it's like the-
sticking down.
Sticking down. So if you were to go in there and hang
stand
out,
up,
you're
yeah.
gonna hurt yourself.
Also, not totally uncommon for a lot of older things of that where they would just nail the shingles and everything
Yeah.
through the roof, and they just didn't even think about it. So that in itself is not that uncommon because
It's odd that there's no like insulation there, but
not really, because it's like if you go down, remember the smokehouse area that my mom and dad had in there? That's
Yeah.
the same way that roof was. In any of the barn area and everything else, that's the way that was done. So that was kind of
I guess I'm in my mind picturing the wrong fucking thing.
I think
I'm
so,
picturing
because-
like a house.
Well, it is, but this is a little side area here, and
Yes.
this is going to be like when she sends it to you. I almost guarantee you, I can imagine this.
If you give me a pen, I can draw it probably.
Just send us a picture.
I will.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
perfect.
that.
A good way to describe it is like, have you ever watched Harry Potter in the little room that he lives in?
Okay, yes.
It's like under the staircase.
Yeah.
Think of that, but like not under a staircase.
Okay.
I
Right.
feel like that's not helpful at all.
No, that actually, I can picture that.
Yeah.
well, I know what it looks like. I don't feel like that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well,
Well, I feel like that's what it is.
send us a photo, and we'll
A lot of
decide it.
interpretation
I love
happening
that
on
you
this
found
one.
a way to put Harry Potter in this, but I gotta tell you, I do not think that's it.
Okay, well we're gonna get a plan together and come out and see what we can get. My question at that point is, what are you gonna do with that information once we do get it?
Listen, I don't know. We're gonna fly by the seat of our pants.
I mean, is it to the point where you are wanting it like removed? And we don't do that. Let me.
Oh well, I'm very clear that from the before conversation, only Catholics do certain things. The Baptists are going to say, "Get the demons out." We're very much non-religious
and that may
in our
work
house.
too. I mean, the Baptist thing may work. I just know that the Catholics have a procedure behind
Well,
it.
I mean, what works and what doesn't. Hell, I think that's up to the individual. We've had people who sprinkle sea salt in the corner and say, "Oh, it's gone." It's like, oh,
You just
okay.
want someone to come in and capture evidence. That they
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything that can be done at this point, but at this point, I don't know how much more they can do.
Yeah, we've staged
wouldn't
it
say that.
multiple
no,
times.
no, you
Wouldn't
don't
say that.
want to go there.
I mean, like it's
no.
every day
Yeah,
or
but-
like every other day. Like,
You don't want to go there. You don't want to say that it can't ramp up.
well, hopefully they
because
can't hear us. But
it
I mean,
can.
again, like with the whole paranormal thing, the only paranormal really experiences that I've had are just, like I guess I wasn't on the podcast. We talked about this before we started, was like my grandma seeing the same thing, my mom seeing the same thing, me seeing the same thing growing up, and so did my daughter, having never discussed it with each other. And
And when you're saying seeing the same thing, what was it you saw?
The same thing would be waking up, having someone standing by our bed, staring at us, and then walking to the closet, staring at us again, walking in and shutting the door.
And were you all roughly about the same age when this is occurring to you?
can't
Or
say.
did this all happen? Did grandma, mom, and you all see this at the same time?
No. My grandmother always talked about this during the time of her first marriage. And this is probably, 60s, 70s, around there. My mom, I remember, actually, maybe my grandma would have been around 30. My mom would have been around 30. The first time this happened to me, I was around 22, and it scared the living shit out of me. And I kind of wrote it off as sleep paralysis. It started happening to Nola.
Now she's 11.
Now, but the weirdest part about this is my grandma did mention to me that after she moved out of the house, she found writing in the closet. And for the life of me, I don't remember what she said it was. And she's since passed, and this would have been at a house in Mississippi, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Those people are all Catholics.
Did it say room of love?
Fuck no. I doubt it. If it had, she probably would have been like, hey, yeah. Like her first marriage was a lavender marriage. She probably would have been like, hell yeah, let's go, you know?
Your activity's pretty significant.
Yeah.
It really is. It's not orbs and shit, or
We've never had that, have we? Have we had Orby things? No.
we're not Orby people.
I've never had Orbeez.
But we definitely want to get out there and kind of see what's going on. We're going to set a date to do that, and then we'll go out and collect what we can collect, and then we'll bring it in and we'll put it on this podcast once we get it. You have I can put it on the website if you want. You have a TikTok or...
I have a TikTok.
I mean, I blew up because I was a meme. So
yeah.
You were a meme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one were you?
Well, if on my TikTok, I have like 8 million views on it, and it was a video of me just casually dancing, and then I saw a spider, and then I freaked out, and then I ran, and people just, I guess, loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
our first viral meme on the podcast ever.
Wow.
We'll post that too.
Well, yeah, you can post my TikTok if you want. I plan on continuing to post what's happening in the house.
Do people give you negative? I don't know TikTok very well. Do they give negative comments on there?
Not necessarily. I've never had one.
Because people will argue online about your favorite fucking color.
Oh, I'm sure that.
Well,
Look, TikTok is going to be brutal. There's going to be people all over that thing.
I do a lot of food reviews. That's what I do now for the most part. And I had my most viral TikTok get a lot of negative comments, but they had nothing to do with it.
Like restaurant?
Yes. And I don't know that I necessarily should share. But if you are interested, go to my TikTok and you'll see it.
And how do we get there?
With the link that he has. You don't have
Oh,
TikTok.
you did send it.
I did send it.
Remember you sent it, and I was like, I can't look at this. I don't have TikTok. That's okay.
real.
I can still post it. Most people do have TikTok.
Yeah.
And we'll go ahead and...
Except for the 5 people on this side of the table.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
I post them to Facebook too if I can, but people, I mean, I have a lot of like dance moms that are supremely religious on my page that do give me shit for like everything that I do.
Well, they'll give you advice too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well, the only thing I know about TikTok is when my daughter will hold up her phone, and that's me with TikTok.
Yeah.
Watching a bunch of kids dance.
Yeah. I use it for like food reviews and like seeing places we should eat when we're out of town. You did have a significant, ghost thing that happened at Crescent. That was wild.
Oh, yeah, I
but
did.
What happened?
I was sharing a room with my brother and my sister, and it was like really late at night, like I want to say like 2 maybe. I woke up to the sound of jazz music playing in my room, and I thought it was somebody's alarm going off. So like I turned over and I checked all the phones, and I even shook my brother awake. I was like, turn off your alarm. And he was like, I don't have an alarm. And then they went back to bed. So then I just kind of sat there and I was like, okay, the TV wasn't on, nothing. I went back to bed. I woke up again to the music playing again, and I was like, okay, this is like, I don't know what to do. And I tried calling them, but they were asleep.
I'm asleep.
So I just covered my head with a blanket and laid down. And then the next morning we were like talking about it, and we looked it up, and I guess that room's known for that.
Huh.
Yeah, well, she said that it was so loud, the music, that she thought she
Yeah.
was going to get in trouble.
It was so loud. Like it was like blaring in my ears. I kept looking around. I was trying to find something that was just going off, like something that was making the sound, but there was nothing.
How old
Everything
were
was
you?
off. Oh, this was
last
like,
year.
Yeah,
It was-
last
it was-
year.
Oh, it's recent.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was last year.
Well, damn, you got a lot of stuff happening around you.
Maybe it's you. Maybe it started happening when you moved in. You're
Maybe
going
you
to the
should
Crescent,
kick her out.
I did. She lives in a back house.
Oh, that's true. So we're going to set up a date and come out there and see what we can get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And then we really want that full-bodied, apparition. I mean, not for your sake. That sucks. You have
Hopefully
to live with
Jose or Josephine or whatever we're going to call her. Maybe it's both.
Okay. We're going to work on getting a date. We want to do it real soon, though.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll
Sounds
come
good.
out and see what we can get. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks for
We'll post
having
your
us.
TikTok link, and we'll get that up on the website later today.
And we'll have more Dark Matter next week from Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri with Midwest Ghost Hunters.